Welcome back to TechMaker. This is Scraping the Web with Ruby Part 6. In the last episode, we looked at how you could pull back all of the data from the Craigslist housing section and put it into listing objects. And we started to try to clean up the data just a little bit. This should be kind of a short episode, hopefully, but what we're going to try to do is use some code that we wrote previously to loop through all of the pages until we run out of pages, essentially, so that we get all of the listings instead of just one page. In one of the previous episodes, we looked at how you can enter s equals 120 into the URL bar, into the address, and then you skip to the 121st to the 240th element, and that's essentially how their pagination works. You have 120 per page. But what we want to do is look at what happens when you have essentially nothing and you get back this screen that says no results. So back in our actual code, what we want to do is basically outside of opening up this URL, what we want to do is put a while loop. So the URL is basically just a regular Craigslist URL. So we're going to start and say like index. Now let's actually say s because that's what it's called in the URL, and we'll say s equals 0. And then we'll say here, instead of URL, we need to actually say, let's put this in quotes and then do a string interpolation, and then we'll do question mark, and we'll say s equals s. And so what this will do is it'll be like Craigslist slash some stuff, and then question mark s equals, and then to start it will be 0. So the next thing we're going to do is say, and again I'm kind of just making this up, so we'll say empty, let's actually say no results equals false. So this is just a flag essentially, and we'll say while no results equals false, and we'll run this. So at the end of each loop, what we want to say is s equals s plus 120. Can't type right now. The other thing we want to do is, after we read the doc, what we want to say is if, let's see, so what do we say this? If html.index no results is greater than 0, greater than or equal to 0, because I think if you call index, well, let's see, I think index, if it doesn't find anything, it's nil. So we could actually say unless that's nil, else. So I'm actually, to be honest, I'm not a big fan of the unless else syntax. We'll say if not nil else, and that's when we'll do this. So we don't need to do any of that stuff if no results is present. So then we'll just say no results equals true. And that, so basically what this is going to do is let's just walk through this to sanity check it really quick. So we're setting our looping variable to 0 to start. Then we're saying we have this flag, no results is false, and then we're saying while no results is equal to false, we're going to open up the URL, we're going to read it, and then if no results is there, basically we're done. Set that equal to true, don't do anything else. Else, we want to set our identifier, do all the stuff where we put the stuff in listings, and then we want to add 120. The other thing we're going to want to do is say listings equals an array, and instead of map we're going to do each, We'll say listings and then append a new listing. Okay, so the very last thing, promise this time, that I'm going to do is add a little sleeper in here. And I think I need to require time for this. But we're going to sleep for 1 second. And before I do that, I'm going to say puts S is now equal to S sleeping 1 second. So this is basically just, I don't want to spam Craigslist with a bunch of requests all of a sudden. And it also just helps me visualize that, yeah, S is actually changing. And then once we hit 3,000, I want to see that it actually does stop. So this is just kind of, I always have all these little sanity check things that I do. And I forgot one other thing. I need to return listings at the end. Right? So where am I in the world? So this is my while loop. I think, yeah, maybe. I think actually I need to put listings there. Yeah, sorry, I'm confusing the crap out of myself with all these extra spaces. But yeah, that's where listings should go, and then at the end, that should work. Okay, let's run this and see what happens. Okay, so back in our terminal, we'll open up IRB. We'll require scraper.rb, and I think you have to do that. And then we should be able to do scraper.run, and then pass in our Craigslist URL. And hopefully nothing blows up. Okay, so this is going to run for a minute. I'm going to pause the video for just a second. Okay, so that finished running and spit out a ton of HTML at me. So let me do listings.count. Listings. I need to set it equal to the last thing that returned. Okay, listings.count. Hopefully we get 3,000. Okay, so let's do listings.last.price. I think it's price per month. Okay, cool. So let's check one other thing. Let's check the neighborhood here. Okay, so it's kind of the same thing we were seeing in the last episode. So what I want to do, say listings.map and neighborhood .unique. Okay, and you can see we get a lot of stuff here. .count. So there's 578 neighborhoods listed. Now there are quite a few neighborhoods in New York, but there are not 578. You can see right here we have Prime Williamsburg as opposed to just Williamsburg. So this is clearly user entered titles. What I want to do in the next episodes is try to clean up this data a bit and store it. At some point, what I'm going to end up with is hopefully a relatively clean CSV file that then we can maybe move into a somewhat different series on some basic data analysis concepts. So anyway, if you're interested in all of that, please subscribe to the channel and check out all the upcoming videos. That's all the time I've got for this, so I'll talk to you next time.